Let me just summarize what I have said so far. Every organization has to maintain a balance across three boxes. Box 1 is all about manage the present efficiency. Box 2, box 3 is all about breakthrough innovation. And in box 1, you have a business model, and you have to continue to improve the efficiency of that business model. In box 2, box 3, you are actually creating a new business model. And for us to really understand what exactly do we mean by box 3 innovation, non-linear innovation, we must first understand what we mean by a business model. For me, the definition of business model is the same thing as definition of strategy. If someone asked you, what's your organization's strategy? They are also asking you, what's your organization's business model? My definition of strategy or definition of business model is an answer to three questions. Who is your customer? What value is that customer seeking? And what is the value chain architecture with which you are going to create that value? If the answer to these three questions are internally consistent, then you have a successful strategy. You have a successful business model. You have a successful scissors. Therefore, when I say box 3 innovation, business model innovation, what I'm saying is you have to answer at least one of these three questions in a non-linear way. You can change the definition of the customer. This is the example of GE's $500 ECG machine. The $500 ECG machine brought a whole class of non-consumers into consumers. That's a business model definition, business model innovation. You can also innovate a business model by keeping the same customer, but by changing the value proposition to that customer in a non-linear way. That also is a business model innovation. You can also innovate your business model by keeping the same customer, same value proposition, but change your value chain architecture in a non-linear way. That's what Dell Computer did in the mid-80s. They didn't change the definition of the customer. They didn't change the value proposition to the customer. What they changed was the value chain architecture. If you remember those days, IBM, Compaq, Hewlett-Packard used what I would call an indirect architecture because they designed the computer, then they made the computer, then they sold the computer to wholesalers, wholesalers sent it to retailers, and you and I went to buy a computer on the retail shop. This was the value chain architecture of IBM, Compaq, and Hewlett-Packard, whereas Dell went direct. The point that I'm trying to say is business model innovation could be answering these three questions differently. Certainly, just changing the customer definition itself would be a business model innovation, but obviously you can change the answer to all the three questions. The reason that I'm staying on this is, to me, box 3 innovation is a strategy innovation. The dominant logic can execute business model that is embedded in box 1. Scissors has a business model. The dominant logic can execute that. Where the dominant logic will struggle is when you innovate the scissors business model, when you change the strategy. That's when dominant logic struggles. The reason I'm saying this is, to me, business model innovation is different from new product introduction. In fact, you can introduce a lot of new products inside your current business model. That's possible. And dominant logic can execute that. Where the dominant logic will struggle is when you change the strategy, when you change the business model. Therefore, business model innovation is not synonymous with new product introduction. In fact, business model innovation is also different from technological innovation. In fact, you don't need any new technologies. You don't need any new products, but you can change the business model still. That's why I like the high jump metaphor. In the high jump industry, the product never changed. What is the product? Cross the bar. That never changed. In fact, while a lot of new technologies came in the high jump industry, but the high jumper never pioneered any new technologies. Think about all the technological changes in the high jump industry in the last 100 years. Think about the quality of the athletic shoes, how much it has improved in the last 100 years. Certainly, the high jumper didn't pioneer the quality of the athletic shoes. Think about the gym, the personal trainer, how much it has changed. Or think about the landing surface. Once upon a time, the landing surface used to be sand. You try a flop on a sand, you're going to break your brains. But it is not Dick Fosbury who changed the landing surface to a softer landing. My point is, your organization need not have to pioneer any new technologies. You don't have to introduce any new product, but you can still change the business model. You would agree with me, in the high jump industry, the business model of flop and the business model of scissors are fundamentally different, even though the product is the same. Close to an example from my industry. In Tech Business School, we have a 2-year residential MBA program. That's our scissors. That scissors, I can do a lot of innovation as long as I don't change the business model. I can do incremental innovation. I can do radical innovation. I can do process innovation. I can do product innovation. As long as I don't change the business model, dominant logic can help me execute those innovations. This is what I call linear innovation. What could be an incremental linear innovation in our 2-year residential MBA program? For instance, we can ask 2 faculty members from marketing and operations to jointly teach a case. That is an incremental innovation in our 2-year residential MBA program. What would be a radical innovation in our 2-year residential MBA program? We can do a fundamental transformation, a fundamental rethink of our entire curriculum. That's a radical innovation. But as long as I don't change the business model, dominant logic can execute this. What would be a business model innovation for Tuck School of Business? How about an online MBA program? An online MBA program is a business model innovation because it is targeting at non-consumers. The capabilities are different. This is a whole new ball game that the dominant logic cannot execute.